Gibson? David Gibson? Doesn't say read it, but I'm considering moving to Lake Worth. It seems like a great place to let passage of this ordinance would make it less attractive to me. David Gibson, 3226 Northwest 64th Court, Coconut Creek. Aliana Smith? Aliana Smith?
Hello, I am Aliana Smith, 1510 North D Street. I, for one, have been to many protests. I was also a part of the one in the rain, and I stood there and did not enjoy the fact that we are thinking of closing down places for the homeless, because I have heard of many homeless people, especially this one person who was very nice and generous to everyone, but he got trashed and nothing. Literally went to help someone, and then he picked up food and somebody beat him to death. And I, for one, am not a fan of the fact that people think that other human beings are lower than them because they don't have as much as they do. And we are all human beings in this room. We are all people, we are equal, and I'm not really that religious, but I don't think everyone's intention was to make it so that people that don't have enough money to have a home or to go around, doesn't have a car, are not allowed to be equal with everyone else, because even though some people are having paper, literally paper made with a face, don't have a home, and so they get eaten like trash. And I, for one, have walked around and seen homeless people, and they are not anything below us. They are human beings just like us. Thank you.
Michael Chase Fox, followed by Anna Maria Windish Hunt.
Michael Chase Fox, 1609 North D Street. Come in this room at different times and change my mind about stuff. Tonight's been one of them. I'm trying to organize a group of citizens on both ends of the argument, with a few in between, to come up with real solutions and something that we can do. The problem is enormous. However, when people in this audience tonight came in and exhibited low emotional IQ by casting aspersions against our council and you, Madam Chair, what do you have to gain from this? My question is nothing. Everyone here is trying to put their hand up in the room to offer help. And what some of those people have done is further alienate. There's a lot of points being made tonight. The project that we're trying to get together is called the Lake Worth Citizens Advisory Group on Homelessness. And it will consist of a few meetings, and everybody's coming back. It's a working group. I'm actually traveling to Key West and into Jacksonville next week to speak with city employees there and homelessness experts to come back with ideas. And that means come working with something and not just gripe. But having said that, what would be the problem with, because of all the Michigasson confusion tonight about this delaying of it just for don't do that to me. Okay? So that's just a thought in the meantime, because some of the things that have been said tonight have been horrible in this house against the employees and the people who are serving us.
Thank you. Thank you. Peggy Fisher, followed by Aaron Engel. Oh, I'm sorry, Anna Maria, put your card down first. Sorry, honey.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm for the ordinance. And I can be very specific because I'm a volunteer downtown at the annex where visitors come to pick up information about Lake Worth, where people come to pay their bills. And I have walked the gauntlet of trying to get through some people And if you've ever played chicken with a car, you know what that's like. I don't scare easy. I used to work for United Press International. I did investigative reporting. I took my camera everywhere. And I have photographed these people. These are not homeless people. Someone has changed the storyline. These are agitators. They haven't been there forever. They have been there in the last couple of months, just when election time was revving up. And so I'm here to tell you, I've seen these people, I know who they are. And I happened to be in Starbucks one day, and there's this one guy that I see there every Wednesday when I volunteer. The barista knew him. He paid for his coffee with a smartphone. I don't have a fancy phone. There, for the grace of God, go I. Thank you.
Peggy Fisher, followed by Darren Engel.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I echo the previous two commenters in supporting this resolution and establishing some hours. I think all humans are valuable, and that includes the 5 of you sitting up there. And I also agree that the attacks, the comments, the things that have been said, implying that you all don't have feelings for all people, are inappropriate. This is a divisive issue, but it's a nationwide issue if we're going to talk about homelessness. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about setting hours for the cultural plaza. And I would like the commission to ask our police captain to come up and talk a little bit about how many people have been arrested for just being homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Darren Engel, followed by Michelle Sylvester.
Good evening, Darren Engel, Fordham Drive. And I am addressing hours and any other tools that we can use to help enforce legal activities. The issue about our public parks and spaces is not about homelessness and poverty. It is about our ability to use the spaces without exposure to undesirable and illegal activities. It is about our ability to enjoy the public spaces with confidence that there are no security risks and our children are not being exposed to illegal activities. The undesirable activities include illegal drug use, drug dealing, prostitution, public urination and defecation, assault, abuse, littering, etc. These illegal activities are being caused by many people, and a large number of these people do have a place of shelter. They congregate in our public spaces as if they were left to do the undesirable activities without fear. We do need some enforcement of these activities. We need corrective measures to allow the public and their families to use the public parks and spaces while the greater problem is getting resolved. We will never be able to resolve this problem overnight. The underlying issues and causes of alcohol, drug abuse, sober homes, and all the people that prey on these people will not be resolved immediately. But until then, we demand that our public spaces and parks be free from these undesirable activities. Thank you.
Michelle Sylvester, followed by Heidi Wallace. I support park hours to close 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., setting hours similar to most parks across the nation. Heidi Wallace, followed by Dylan Harrison.
Heidi.
Okay, as a lot of people in here know, most of you know, I am homeless. I am currently living this problem. One of the things that this resolution is going to do, and it's not gonna help. I'm a woman on the streets. I have a safe haven. At City Hall. I'm a victim of abuse out on these streets. The cops have been dealing with it, but I've always had one safe spot to go. Here, it's lit up. No big message with City Hall, okay? You wanna take that away? You wanna make it so I have no place to go. I understand this is not attacking me, okay, but this is what this is doing. And in that same respect, you put the times in the park down on a low time level, you're doing this to other people, okay? We don't wanna be out here. We wanna help you come up with a solution to this problem. But for you trying to solve a issue that is a problem, you're also hurting a lot of good citizens here. As a person who sat in that agricultural center, you leave the downtown businesses open till what, 12, 1, 2? Well, what about the 80-year-old couple that just celebrated an anniversary and they get stolen down? They go into that cute little park we all call the square. Police are gonna come up and arrest them? Doesn't make sense, does it? So if they don't, then it sounds to me like this law has been biased and prejudicial. Because if I'm sitting there, you know I'm going. Is the little 80-year-old couple going? I'm asking, please do not make the time limit 10 o'clock something ridiculous, okay? Because there are times that we can't get to the places we're trying to sleep until later on, so that we can sleep safe. And the other thing is, believe me when I tell you, drugs are done at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon, 1, 2, all day long. It's not a nighttime problem, okay? It is an all-day problem, and that's because I see it. So please consider at least upping it to kind of go with the businesses you have downtown. You don't want to hurt the businesses. Well, what's it going to do if their people can't go walking to the park? It's not going to help them either, is it? Thank you.
Dylan Harris, followed by Ben Ellis. Okay, I got the Harrison.
So, as a youth,
Your address for the record?
508 Lake Avenue, let's go. As a youth, I partook in dry goods and alcohol use. And I can tell you, as a youth, like 14 to 18, heroin is awesome. It's so much fun. But you know why I can't shoot dope? Because I can't pay the rent. I can't shoot heroin and drink because I can't pay the rent when I shoot heroin. I don't have anywhere to live. I get evicted. No one wants me around. It's madness. I rob my neighbors. I rob my family. That's when anybody who wants to go to detox or homeless outreach, I'll take them. Right now, later, just say, hey, I want to go. But this madness about, I got hundreds of hours of video of that plaza, and I don't see anybody sleeping. Nobody. They're not sleeping. There's 2 old Jamaicans that sleep there, and they ain't the ones partying down. The ones that are out there are just partying all night long, all night. And a group of us have taken it upon ourselves to do something about it. We don't need y'all. I don't need any of y'all. I don't need the sheriff. I don't need anyone. None of y'all. Don't matter what you do tonight. I'm going to handle it. Okay, I'm going to handle it. You can vote however you want. But what I will do is whoever opposes this, I will dump tens of thousands into a viable candidate to get your ass out of there. I promise. Tens of thousands.
Just direct it towards me, please.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Whatever. Okay, I will dump viable, good, master's degrees, 30 years old, okay? I will dump a lot of money and I will win. And this is just this vote. I don't care about anything else. Y'all really don't bother me most of the time. But the numbers have gone down, okay? Business has gone down. My daughter doesn't like it. So I don't have time for this, man. If you want to go to detox, call me. If you want to go to, a shelter or homeless outreach, call me. I'll drive any of y'all. But I don't want to hear it because y'all ain't sleeping in the plaza. Y'all are drinking in the plaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben Ellis. Can you read this?
Just read it? Yeah.
I would like to note that setting hours in a public park is not anti-homeless. It is pro-safety. To say we cannot take steps to better our community without a total solution to homelessness is a logical, legal fallacy. We cannot wait for a perfect solution to homelessness to better our city. Thank you, I hope I didn't ruin that. Did I do it? Okay, Greg Rice, followed by Alexa Harrison. And it was 189 Harvard, I'm sorry, Mr. Ellis, I didn't read it, go ahead.
Greg Rice, still Lucerne. I come in support of the ordinance and I'll give you a couple reasons why. Palm Beach County last year sometime passed a similar ordinance regulating the hours in John Prince Park and other parks I'm sure as well. I'm wondering if this group had a chance to go down there and speak to the Palm Beach County Commission when all this was going on. Yes, this is a problem that not just Lakefront faces, a lot of communities face. But let me tell you what does go on in the park. I do live right across the street from the Cultural Plaza, which we're talking about mostly tonight. And what happens over there, about 10 o'clock,
Quiet in the
10
chambers,
o'clock at
please.
night, 11 o'clock at night, the testosterone
Quiet in the chambers, please.
the testosterone starts to flow. They're mostly young guys that are starting to feel the roads and maybe other things. And there's a lot of profanity going on. There's fights. I call PBSO all the time, shouting matches that erupt. And sometimes the officers will get there in time to calm things down. And sometimes they'll just duke it out and then kind of go their own way. But it is a problem. It's not just a Lake Worth problem. It's a national problem. But is this the first step in the right direction? Who knows? But I do think that this is a much bigger issue. The homeless issue is a much bigger issue than Lake Worth can tackle right now on its own. And I do applaud any efforts that are being offered up to find a solution, not just for this cause, but it's a national epidemic that seems to spread. But I also do believe that if people are looking for help, that's what friends, family, and other things are for. So I hope that you guys make the right choice. And I don't know if 10 o'clock is the right time, midnight's the right time, but there's never a perfect time for anything. But please, give some consideration to those folks that are downtown.
Thank you. Alexa Harrison, followed by Kimberly Cooper. Alexa Harrison? Okay. Up after that, Kimberly Cooper, just on there.
I'm Alexa Harrison.
Yes, please.
120 Via Bellagio. This is not about equality.
That one, thank
This
you.
is not about equality. I think it's about the fact that we can't walk by the park without my kids being scared. We can't go to the stage and play. It's about the drugs, the needles, the alcohol, the profanity. It's ridiculous. And I mean, I know I already did this once, but that's what it's about. There's places homeless people can go if they need to. You know, we're privileged because we have a home, we work, and we have things, you know, I don't know, simple as that. It's about the kids not being able to go walk down the street without being scared. Just since the last meeting, actually, when it's been a little bit better, not completely, but a little bit, she said, oh, look, the scary people aren't there anymore. I mean, she's scared. It's not okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kimberly Cooper, followed by Tammy Panza.
I live on Lakewood Road. I'm not gonna say where because I don't like say my address out loud, but I will say that I work on Lake Ave, and I also lived on Palm Way, which is right across from the Cultural Plaza. I am a recovering addict. I moved here about 2 years ago. And after I first moved here, you know, I got the help that I needed, and I became an acceptable member to society, got a job, and I would walk to and from my job every day, 60 hours a week. And I got stopped by people in the park, not homeless, because they had purses, this and that, just hanging out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Almost got robbed and beat by 5 different people, and offering me drugs. And like, that's a really difficult situation to be in when you're trying to better your life and not be on drugs and alcohol, yet it's in your face right there. And like, they don't care. Like, if you say like, no thanks, I'm in recovery, oh, we love you, you're our favorite, you know? Like, they'll antagonize you with it. So like, it's a really hard thing, and I have to do that walk to and from every single day. So I did move, I moved to a different location, but I still do work on Lake Ave. I will say that I know 4 homeless people, 3 men and 1 woman. And being recovering addict, like I said, I was homeless for a long period of time. So I'm a huge humanitarian, and I'm all about giving back and helping people. I all the time buy them food, this and that, and I'm friends with these homeless people. And I'll tell you what, not one of them are there at night. None of the ones that I deal with, because they have homeless shelters. Where I'm from in New Jersey, they passed a similar ordinance. And after they passed that, it made a big impact on me because it was more difficult to find shelter. And it got to the point where it was so annoying to have to try to find someplace to sleep that I found phone numbers and I found homeless shelter outreach programs. And I got myself into a homeless shelter, and that got me to the next step to find a detox and to get help. So like, that's the resolution right there. Is passing an ordinance like this makes people reach out and get help. But when you enable behavior like that, it just, why would you want to do anything? You have the setup, you know? You're just enabling behavior.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Mary Panzer, followed by Ryan Parker.
Hi there, Tammy Panza, 116 North L. I am here because I live right downtown. I see firsthand the activity that goes on. And I have to say, I dislike what's going on at the plaza. I have no problem with homeless people. I just don't like what the people down there are doing. I don't dislike them for being homeless. I don't think half of them are homeless. I think the people that are making trouble are the ones causing this ordinance to happen. Once it gets enacted, I do not think there'll be any arrest records. I'd like to see the arrest records for every other park in Lake Worth that has set hours that are from sunset to sunrise. I don't think there's any. So if we're having these 2 areas close from midnight to 6 a.m., I don't think that's a big deal at all. They had a curfew up in City Place a few years ago for children or young teens. I don't know if that's still going on. I hope they fixed the issue. I hope they got it under control, and then maybe they would repeal it. In this instance, I don't think they're going to be cordoning it off with guns and policemen and taking people under arrest and dragging them off to the police. It's just a tool to move people along to defray any possible trouble before it happens. We don't want to cause the homeless any issues. We try to help them. Most of the people in this town are 1 or 2 paychecks away from being in that same situation. Yet there's so many people out there that will offer you a hand, buy you a meal, help you find a place to live, totally dedicated to it. So please, I know that the homeless issue is huge. I know that you need the publicity, and I know why you're here. You're going to get some publicity today. You're going to get publicity at every other thing that passes in a public meeting that has anything to do with it. And you should do that. You should try to fix homelessness. And we all should. This ordinance is not to do with that. Thank you.
Ryan Parker, followed by Haley Becker.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Parker. The homeless,
I'm sorry.
the homeless don't need
I need your
a
address, sorry.
I'm an ex-Lake Worth homeless person, now a functioning member of Boynton Beach Society. But I'm just here today to show that there is programs within this county, the homeless outreach team, some other anonymous organizations which can help you turn your life around. So therefore you don't have to stay in the park all night long drinking. I mean, I understand, hey, if you're not a drug addict or anything, and you just choose to live under the stars, that's fine. But society should not provide you a place to do it and say it's okay. You should make arrangements, maybe go to State Park,
become a mountain man, something, you know, take your life in your own hands. Not to let this nice city, you know, say, okay, it's okay, you know. The problem with the society now is accountability and entitlements. If we make things more accountable for people, they're gonna make a change and provide less entitlements. I had nothing. When I went to a homeless outreach team, went to a halfway house for a month and a half free, thanks to the, you know, the county. Got a job, first holding a sign, not one for change. Got moved up, met some people, made some associations. Got a job, now I'm in college, working on an AA degree in radiography. I'm married, I got a car. I mean, these are just outside things that surround my life, but they also, some of it's the foundation that holds me up. So if we give, you know, people the right to just do whatever they want, it's never going to work out. It's just going to be chaos. It's going to be a free-for-all. You know, that's why we had vagrancy laws in the past, noise ordinances, to hold people accountable for their actions and the way they want to live, without, you know, constitutionally hurting them.
Thank you. Is it Haley Becker? I need your address. I was asking him, I was looking at your card.
Necessary?
Yeah, for public record, it's necessary at a public meeting.
Okay, 117 Northwest 7th Ave.
Thank you.
Alright. So I'm not from this community. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Dania Beach area. And I can speak as what other homeless hate laws have done for my community, so that you can think about it. After a series of laws passed like this one, the homeless issue in Fort Lauderdale is still the same. The parks are still the same, if not worse. Throwing people in and out of who are in desperate situations, in and out of jail, will not solve the problem of homelessness in your parks or your community. It'll possibly only make it worse. And I would also like to say, look at the international news that Fort Lauderdale has gotten from all the homeless hate laws that they passed recently. It hasn't been good. And with that note, HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, has recently in the past few months announced that it will cut funding for cities that are criminalizing homelessness. In your application for HUD funding, you will need to talk about how you are working towards decriminalizing homelessness, which means that this city, if they pass this law, will lose funding.
Quiet in the chambers, please.
Will lose funding for services in the homeless services, only making your problem greater. So looking from your point of view, you're looking at possibly spending some money towards passing this ordinance, and then dealing with losing funding for services that will actually clear up your parks in a transitional way for folks to get on their feet. Also, I'd just like to point out that Fort Lauderdale passed a series of ordinances like this, limiting public spaces.
We're on the resolution portion, not the ordinance itself.